What's the name of this movie again?
Lion.
Thank you. So let me start off by saying there are no actual lions in this film. It's a total
Don't
lie.
believe him. He's lying.
Which I was really disappointed by.
It wasn't a pun.
Although there's kind
Hey, at least they didn't call it Osama like that other movie that nobody went to go see for
there's
obvious
kind of a
reasons.
lion right here.
Aw, say hi to the lion.
Yeah, there aren't even any cats in this.
I don't even know which cat that was that you just picked up.
think
I
it
was
was
like,
Meg.
it's
Yeah.
one of them.
There actually was a cat, because I was noticing as he was walking through one of the villages, there was a cat running around. Anyway.
Oh, there you go. There's your lion.
There you go.
Yeah, that was the lion?
Defies the title completely.
Honestly, when they do the title in this film, it's one of those moments where they almost, like, lion.
The audience I was seeing it with, because there was a title card that explains why the movie is called Lion, and like right before they said it, people were like, "Oh, this is why, yeah!" I was like,
Yes.
really?
And you will be on the planet of the apes.
So this film brought
Not
to
surprises
you.
anymore.
This film brought to you by Google Earth, clearly.
Yeah.
Hey, pretty cool kid.
This kind of is Google Maps the movie. There's no getting away from it.
Yeah, it really strongly emphasizes how great Google Earth is. It's the story, a real story, of Saroo Brierley. I'm probably saying that too.
Brierley.
Brierley?
Yeah, he adopted the name of his Australian family.
Yes, who was, when he was 5 years old, which is the first third of this movie, is separated from his family, separated his older brother due to
He gets on the wrong train.
he gets on the wrong train and ends up way, he gets in Kathmandu.
Calcutta.
No, it's Calcutta.
I'm going to Kathmandu.
Kathmandu is in
That's
Nepal.
what lion is gonna do.
He basically travels from a small village.
Gonna drink some booze.
Jesus, shut up, Seeger. So he is from a small village somewhere in like within the area of Mumbai, and he and his brother are they're basically street urchins. They kind of rummage about for stuff to sell for to help their family out. And at one point they go to this train station. Saru falls asleep. He panics. He gets on this train, and it takes him 1,600 kilometers away to Calcutta, which is
a lot for you Americans.
Yes, it's nearly 1,600 miles. Which is basically like, Mumbai's up here, Calcutta's like down here, like, on the Indian Ocean. So, they're opposite sides of the country.
And it follows from there with this tiny kid. Imagine this is The Walking Dead, right? Like, this kid,
It's not even coral size.
this kid would not be making his way. And we're just talking about India in, like, what was it, the 80s, right?
Yeah, this takes place in the beginning of the movie takes place in 86, and it goes through to about 2000.
It's pretty fucking tough, regardless of zombies walking around. It's pretty hard. It's only because there aren't zombies that he manages to survive.
I mean,
I took away.
Yeah, being a street kid is really hard. Being a street kid in India is even harder.
But he ends up getting adopted by a family with Nicole Kidman.
Yeah.
And
He gets thrown in, like when he shows up in Calcutta, like he gives them this name of the village that he's from, and people are like, well, there's no village by that name. We don't know what you're talking. He's 5, so remember when you were 5 and you didn't know how streets worked or anything like that? Well, imagine getting lost in a mall and having to tell somebody how to get back to your house. Well,
going by sounds more than anything else.
Multiply that times 1,600 kilometers, and you've got an idea of what he's going through.
I was already getting laid when I was 5. I was like, ready. I was like,
oh no, you weren't.
What's up? You like Fisher Price?
we barely believe you're getting laid now. Much less then.
Fair enough.
So he spends some time, kind of literally on the streets, and then, goes through some dodgy stuff, ends up in an orphanage, and, someone actually tries to, like, they take a picture of him, they circulate it in the Calcutta newspapers, like, we're looking for this parent's kids. They can't find them.
I mean,
and so he gets in the institution he is, they place him in a program.
What'd you say, Chris?
You mean this kid's parents?
What did I say?
You said his parents' kids.
Oh yes, tequila.
That's my contribution.
Use it for all of your reviews.
So glad we're just dead on this time.
So he gets placed into a program for adoption, and he is adopted by a Tasmanian family, played by Nicole Kidman. Not that kind, not a Tasmanian devil family. He's not going to Tasmanian hell.
This is probably the most lighthearted discussion of this movie that will ever exist.
Just the regular Tasmania with David Wenham, a.k.a. not Faramir from Lord of the Rings, and Nicole Kidman.
He's still
and not an aged Harry Connick Jr. either, which is what I thought at first.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Probably the one that remembers him as the bad guy in Australia. Because I probably the one that remembers that movie.
Because that movie is terrible.
It's not terrible. It's just messy.
Everybody in Australia,
messy.
everybody in Australia is the bad guy.
I'm a huge Baz Luhrmann fan, and Australia is terrible.
It's messy. It's messy. But
Everything is poisonous there.
Yeah.
And
Including that movie.
that movie will make your arms swell.
The bulk of this film is certainly with the grown-up version of this kid. Like, after he's been, he's lived for a while, he's become a full-grown adult, played by Dev Patel.
in a lead performance.
Yes, despite what some people are saying.
Not like in Life of Pi, where he was a supporting actor to a tiger.
Yeah, Dev Patel, he's cornered the market when it comes to playing Indian orphans.
And yet they didn't want him to play this role. I read somewhere that he had to audition like hardcore to get this role. Like,
Who else were they going to get to play this role?
I think they wanted
he's the only one.
They wanted an unknown.
I
They
thought-
want the Marigold Hotel guy.
I thought you were emphasizing that he's the lead because for the Golden Globes he was nominated for Best Supporting Actor.
Well, there was also like that.
Come on.
He has been nominated as Best Supporting Actor for the Golden Globes.
It's Hollywood. It was down to him and it was down to him and Cal Penn.
Yeah.
Sorry.
He's too old. He's too old.
It's a horrible thing to say, but
It's a horrible thing to
entirely
say
inaccurate.
because it's true about Hollywood. And fuck
It's not
them.
entirely inaccurate.
It's about Hollywood, yeah.
He actually, I didn't even not get nominated for this film. I thought he got nominated for The Man Who Saw Tomorrow.
No, he was nominated for this one, but in the supporting
Or
category.
is The Man Who Saw Tomorrow?
Which is kind of absurd.
Film.
It is very,
What is
yeah,
it?
it's very absurd.
Because the Sonny Pawar who plays the young Saru is actually nominated for lead actor. So
Yeah, very weird considering he's in much less of this film than Dev
it's kind of half and half. Like, but actually, by the time Dev Patel comes in, it's a 2-hour movie, and Dev Patel really comes in at the 1 hour mark. So
I looked at my watch
it's equally
because-
divided.
I looked at my watch when he came on because I could not stand it. Everything with the kid for being such a small kid turned in a decent performance, but
Children are horrible.
I was just completely unengaged that whole first half of the movie. I was like, when the fuck are we getting to Dev Patel?
Well,
When are we going to Australia? I hate this country.
weirdly, I was the other way. I was really enjoying the first half of this film, watching the adventures of this kid.
Well, enjoying it, was compelled, probably.
Yes, I love to see children suffer.
Yeah.
frankly.
I was very disappointed that there was no scenes of him rummaging about in a sewage pile. Throwback.
There
Well, it's
kind of
because,
was.
because that whole first act, I was just like, I can only watch this kid walk around a place by himself so many times looking sad before, I get it. He's sad. His parents are gone.
Oh, God, children, stop being sad.
Why do you always have to be like, oh, my mom, oh, my God.
Actually,
Why doesn't anyone love me?
that is an absolute fair description of Dev Patel in the second half of this movie, which is basically like, he's
True. Actually, you're entirely right.
He's
That's fair.
He's been raised by this family. He's achieved a degree of privilege he would never have growing up. Had he remained in his village. For better for worse. And all of a sudden he starts having this, these kind of flashbacks to his childhood, and he's, comes to the conclusion that he goes to, he's at a party with other Indians, and there's kind of a little interplay where they're like, you know, oh, do you like cricket? Do you like cricket? You know, do you like the Indians or do you like the Australians? He's like, well, I like the Australians because he grew up in Australia at this point.
That's the world he knows.
And that's the world he knows. And then he's over at this party with his girlfriend, played by Rooney Mara, who is white and and American.
No.
Yeah. And shut up.
It would be amazing if she was playing an Indian.
She is playing. Hey, man, she can do the American accent. Just saying. Throwback to ancient Hollywood.
The girl with the Indian tattoo.
Yeah. Hey, man. Myrna Loy played Fu Manchu's daughter. I'm just saying.
Guys, she is Indian. Remember in Pan? She was
Oh
the
my
leader
God,
of
that's so true.
the Indian
Exactly.
village.
In a Razzie-nominated performance.
Oh my
Yeah,
God,
yeah.
you're so right. Holy
Ouch.
shit. Chris Herman, why he's essential to this website. Bringing up obscure shit
Because
like
he's
that.
the only one who remembers Pan.
But you know, he
Immensely.
at this party he sees these Indian pastries that he used to love as a little kid when he was still living in his village, and he has this
Trigger, flashback.
Marcel Proust trigger to go back.
Holy shit, I have a real family.
Yes.
What happened to
I
them?
love that you dropped Proust in this. That's so great.
Marcel Proust.
Yeah.
That's so. That's
Read
so,
it while you're drinking tequila.
That's so sweet. You tried to make Bo feel good about a Proust
No,
reference.
because I thought nobody, because anyone that's read Swans, whatever that
Thank
thing
you,
is,
and you're an illiterate boob.
it imprints into your soul whether you want to or not.
La Madeleine. You fuck off.
I can never look at a Madeline without thinking of that.
That's true. I
can't look at a Madeleine without thinking, ooh, croissant.
I can't eat a Madeleine without going like,
JC's with me. He's like, fucking A. Is there cheese on that croissant? Yes, please.
bring it. It's meant to be eaten with tea. Go on. So, but yes, and after this realization, he becomes the mopiest fuck on the planet.
Yeah.
He turns into like a Howard Hughes sort of like phase, isn't he? Where he just becomes like really obsessed and really closed off from.
He's not recycling his own urine, but
Yes.
he is like, he's got a room that basically looks like anybody who's ever tried to figure out a conspiracy theory with like all of these, because one of the people at the party says, hey, they've got this new thing called Google Earth. You can use the map function to look at things.
Which,
So-
by the way, is like a third of this movie.
yeah.
Of like him
that's
like, Google Earth is great. Look at what I can do with it. Oh my God, that's amazing.
And this sends him into a psychotic break, which is why you shouldn't use Google Earth.
I think that's my biggest problem with this film. Like for me, I really enjoyed like I said previously, the scenes of the younger kid, because I'm like, oh man, you poor kid, like dealing with this. How are you going to get out of this? And the moment you're like, okay, now he's all grown up and kind of a prick. Not a huge prick. Kind of a... Well, he is the way he
he's
deals
like a
with his
teenager.
girlfriend.
I get the
He's a
sense
20-something dude that's
Yeah.
a little self-obsessed.
Well, I get the sense that he was kind of a prick because like the other adopted brother that family adopted
Yeah. It's
wasn't as cool, and so he's like, well, I'm way better than this kid.
That's a good way to put it.
yeah. He's a junkie, the other kid.
I mean, and certainly there is, you know, they've done plenty of studies that they're like, if you are of one ethnicity and you adopt a child of another ethnicity, it is very important that you give them something to hold on to, that they understand that they come from a different culture than yours. And, you know, they adopted this kid in the 80s, so there really wasn't any of that. I mean, they were great parents. You know, they're you know, the supportive parents of your dreams. But they're a white couple, and he's from India, and he doesn't know where he comes from. He has literally been lost for, you know, at this point, 20-something years.
I guess it's the emphasis on the way that impacts him and the way he the way he reacts to everyone else in his life, which is like, you're kind of being an asshole about all this. Because that really pulled me right out of this.
Because as at one point he's arguing with his girlfriend, and he's like, you don't hear my brother's voice in your head every day. Well, it's like, you didn't either for 20-some-odd years.
Yeah.
At least that wasn't communicated in the movie.
She's like, please let me know anything I can do to help you on this journey. And he's like,
no,
you can fuck off.
It doesn't feel like anybody could understand or come close to understand.
And to an extent, I think he doesn't really want people to understand, because he's feeling this kind of anger and helplessness, and so he pushes everybody away from him. His girlfriend actually goes up to him and is like, have you told your mom that you want to find your biological mother? And he's like, no, that would hurt her too much, and she's just like, you are underestimating her, completely.
And then as we find in the film, which watching the film seems very clear because Nicole Kidman is playing like by far the most like I'm just a sweet person, end of story type character in this movie.
And
I think it was deeper than that.
Yeah, she's supportive to a fault. I mean, his brother has a lot of problems with drugs. He seems like he's high functioning autistic in many ways, and she is just like whenever Saru says anything bad about him, she is not having it. She's like, no, well, we support each other in this family. That's what we do, and it never gets to a point that seems like it's damaging anything, but, if this was a real family exploration, you would probably see some signs of that.
Well, let's get a
She's codependent.
And maybe they could have had more time to explore that if they didn't spend so much time in the first hour with
or the many
Get out of there.
Yeah, the many minutes they show in this film of him, like, going through Google Earth and checking out the little train stations and stuff like that. Yeah, and I mean, I'm not going to be so cynical as to say it's just product placement, but it's a little weak tea, because if this had happened before this technology was invented, like, he'd be going to India and, taking the trains and going everywhere. And
which would have made a more interesting story.
It's hard to avoid that, and, this is a real story, and so they're trying to give credit to that. But yeah, it is a little bit of a weak tea to make a 2-hour brew of.
Well, let's go to final thoughts and start with JC.
A little more disappointed with this one than I thought, mostly because, like I said, I didn't really like the first hour. But I felt like they spent too much time rehashing some of the same things in that first hour, and I felt like they could have gotten to the meat of the story quicker. In which, I mean, I get that it could be argued that the meat of the story was what he went through when he was 5. But I was more interested in the journey of how he found his family, and it ended up really just kind of boiling down to once he reached his breaking point, he's just messing around with the computer. Oh, hey! All of a sudden, after all this time, then he stumbles upon
it was like, okay, I guess we gotta let him find his place now. Yeah.
So
thank God I got Google Fiber. When
so yeah, I think it sort of wrapped up a little too neatly and quickly after doing a fairly good job in the middle of, showing how difficult this journey was and what he was going through and how difficult it is for his Australian family and his personal relationships. I thought all that was good. And then, tied up too neatly in a bow at the end, too quickly. But I like Dev Patel's performance. I like Nicole Kidman's. I liked Rooney Mara's. Everybody here did a really good job. I would give it 6.5 out of 10 laptops.
Frank,
I don't necessarily agree with you. I do find I actually agree more with Chris. I think that the beginning stuff with the kid, it was very, very sad. It was very dark. It was very tragic. It was endlessly depressing. But I think it was great. I mean, not great, but it was, interesting seeing his story and where
you like watching children suffer.
On some level, who doesn't really? But I feel like most of us are going to go to hell for this review in a lot of ways.
You were already there, brother.
Yeah, I know.
It's all good.
My seat's already there. But I love this the story of the search and wanting to put these ghosts that he. They might not be at the forefront throughout his entire life, or definitely in the subconscious and never left him. I love the relationship he had between Dev Patel and Rooney Mara. And this is the first time I've actually ever really liked her in anything.
Rooney Mara, really?
Yeah. I'm not a Rooney Mara fan. I think she picks good material. I love that Soderbergh.
Why do you hate the Irish?
Yeah.
Because
they don't
you,
drink enough. They don't drink enough. No, but I mean,
you're a bad example.
That scene though, when I love their relationship so much. I love that scene when he goes to her, and he says, "I found home," and she just lights up. And I think that's such a beautiful moment in the film. Likewise, I thought Nicole Kidman was fantastic in this movie. When it's really one of the great one of the greatest representations of motherhood that we see in the film. That moment when he tells Dev Patel tells her, "I found home, and I want to go back," and he's almost sort of like ashamed to tell her. And she says, "You need to go home. She needs to see how beautiful you are." I love that. She knows what it would mean to his mother to see him. And it's those sort of moments when the film really comes alive.
Yeah.
It could have done with a lot less laptop searching, a lot less shots of the Google logo. But ultimately, this is a warm film. It's a warm story. And it works on most of the levels it aims for. So I'd probably give this 8 out of 10 really bad wigs on Nicole Kidman.
All right, so I'm going to take my place in the middle of this one, which is rare, and say I think this is a real mixed bag. I think nothing is necessarily bad in this film. Because it's not. There's nothing in this I can nail and go like, that was a bad decision. That was a bad thing to do. It just kind of overplays its stay. You know, it overstays
this time
its
of year,
welcome.
there's always like very safe like award season. It's like this belongs here.
Do you think
Exactly.
it's structured differently? Do you think, you know?
Maybe. And I'm with you, like, you agreed with me. Look, I like the first part better with the kid than I did with Dev Patel. I was actually really into that. Like, oh, I'm worried for this kid. And the moment it's Dev Patel is just some hipster in Australia, I'm like, I don't give a fuck what happens to
He
you.
is really good. Patel is really great.
He is really good. And he has some seriously strong emotional moments. Also, give him notice as well this year for The Man Who Saw Infinity, which is another film he played a very strong role for, which was also, like this film, a far from perfect film, but he was really good in. I don't think people give Patel enough credit. But regardless, there's so many things that work good in this film, it's just not assembled well. And I think I'm going to have to give it 7 out of 10 unused subway tokens. Or unused train tokens. Sorry. Go to Chris Herman.
Much like Frank and Chris, I too like to watch children suffering, and I enjoyed.
That's what I
Willy
said,
Wonka this weekend. Let's do it.
And I really did enjoy the first half of this film a little bit more, and because it's kind of like. Kind of like David Copperfield or like an Oliver Twist, type of story. It's just,
so.
For hundreds of years, we like that type of storytelling. The street urchin that is able to become successful, find a loving home. That's great. Mm-hmm. I appreciate that. And it also affirms that I never want to go to India ever.
I love that the cat is
You
just.
talk to Johnny Neal.
Yeah.
I love that the cat is just shoving his ass in Chris Herman's face right now.
This is not a tourist,
it's fine.
friendly film.
No.
Definitely not.
Yeah,
Chamber of Commerce won't be adopting it anytime soon.
It's very appropriate. And with the second half of the film, where I will say I think Dev Patel gives a very good performance. I just think that the script kind of does him a disservice. Where he has these scenes where he's just kind of moping. He's staring at Google Earth. He's staring at Google Maps. It's like okay, we just need to see one scene of that and him searching, and then that's really it. We don't need all of this other stuff. You could have cut out 20 minutes maybe of all that stuff. Not really necessary. And I can understand, you can say he's acting like an asshole, he's acting irrational. For all we know, that could have been the real person. He could have been irrational. He could have been acting like that, where he's grown up in this privileged lifestyle and he doesn't know how to react to, what's going on inside. It's so unique to anyways. I certainly can't
He's
identify.
not someone who's at peace.
I certainly can't identify, with something like that. But and even I will admit, even towards the end of the film, I got a little watery-eyed. It's a very emotional moment. It's very powerful. I forget who the actress who plays his biological mother, but between her and Dev Patel, they have that final scene together. It's very heart-touching. So I'd say I liked it just as much as Frank did, and so I'd probably give it 8 out of 10 Indian cookies.
And now to finish this one out. Let's bring it to Bo Paul. Can I tear you away from your cell phone?
He's actually looking at
I'm
that.
looking something up. Exactly. Because I know what rating system I'm going to use. And now it just makes it look like I'm trying to one-up someone. So I'm going to find something else.
I'm sorry about that. It's my
but yeah, I absolutely agree that there's a lot of emotional resonance in this film at the end. And I don't feel like it's a gotcha movie or a cynical movie when it comes to that. The catharsis and the payoff is very legitimate, and I certainly teared up. If you don't, hey, you probably got a heart of stone. You probably really do like seeing children suffer.
I looked at that like Judd Nelson at the end of The Breakfast
You
Club.
should probably be placed on some kind of watch list. That being said, there's not a lot of meat on the bones of this, and it's sad because I really feel there could be, because there's some interesting personal dynamics going on. Certainly I think both halves of the film have some very good moments. I just wish I'd see more. One of the flaws of this film is, and it's based on a book, written by the actual Saroo Brierley called A Long Way From Home. And I think the filmmaker took that as a cue to make this very much about the journey. And the journey in this isn't really interesting. It's one train trip and a bunch of passes on Google Earth. A lot of passes on Google Earth. And I felt like both of those moments could have been excised a bit, and we could have concentrated more on what's going on with this kid and his day-to-day life trying to survive on the streets. Yeah. Of this young man trying to come to terms with his personal identity, what that means with his relationship to the people who raised him, and what that means to the people who gave birth to him and took care of him for 5 years that he can barely, remember in many ways. And the conflicts therein. And also, you probably could have thrown in a couple of dashes of what it means to be a person of color being raised by a white family.
Yeah, that wasn't double.
And that which I thought this was going to be that was going to be some of the major meat of this movie, and it's not really in there at all. So I have to say, even though this is in a lot of ways a feel-good movie, and I think it's certainly worth seeing, like I said, it doesn't have the meatiness that I was really looking for, and I think in the long run, it's not going to be an incredibly memorable film. But if you're looking to go through a little emotional catharsis and do a little feel good stuff, then this is for you. Have that. I give
so
it.
What do you give it?
I give it 7 locked train cars out of 10.
I know what this was missing. A hit Bollywood song.
There you go.
Jaho.
What's a Jaho?
Jaho. It's from the Slumdog Millionaire.
I would have really
Your
liked
favorite
it if, like, midway through that first act, they had just gone, like, there's going to be a big song and dance act.
Right.
Like, totally so much more.
I would have slashed my rating by half if they had done that.
No, it's all...
Would have added on to
It didn't really happen, Frank. It's like a metaphor for how they're feeling.
Jeez.
And plus, we get to tap our toes and go...
Hey, nobody fell into a toilet, so that's at least 2 stars there.
You've listened to Oneofus.net for years. Quality shows that have made you laugh and maybe even cry. But did you know they produce podcasts that you may not have even heard of? For just a few dollars a month, you have the opportunity to hear quality podcasts like The Breakfast Pub,
Plagain Bowl 2016! Get hype, motherfuckers!
The Original Gentleman,
I see this as an avenue to you becoming a huge chick magnet.
Oh, yeah.
and the Watch a Movie With Us series.
By the way, anybody thinking that his makeup is a little bit heavy here does not remember the 80s.
Oh, she's thinking about banking babies right now.
Oh, it turned into a phallic symbol.
Become a subscriber to Oneofus.net and choose your level of giving from Red Shirt, Brown Coat, Time Lord, and Jedi. And know that your donation will help bring quality oral entertainment to you for years to come. Thank you. And may Cthulhu devour your house last.